Welcome, and thanks for joining us. My name is Tim Savula from Times Higher Education, and it's my honour to host this next discussion for the following hour. I'm delighted to be joined by representatives from 8 universities, all here today because they've been shortlisted in our THE Awards Asia in the category of Technological Innovation of the Year. And the criteria for this category was technology that improves any function at a university rather than a research breakthrough in autonomous vehicles, for example. To find out more about their university's work, please go to the resources section of our virtual platform that you can access from the lobby. And to find out more about their personal backgrounds and responsibilities, you can also see the biographies of all speakers there. But for now, please let me assure you they're all brilliant. And their names are Les Allen, Director of Safeguarding Services at Heriot-Watt University, Malaysia; Karin Avnit, Deputy Director of the Centre for Learning Environment and Assessment Development at Singapore Institute of Technology; Arjuna Mantri, Vice-Chancellor of Chittkala University; Liu Kuiliang, co-founder of Rain Classroom, which is affiliated to Tsinghua University; Sampan Singharawarapapan, I'm so sorry, Professor Sampan Singharawarapapan, the Vice President of Chiang University; Christian Wagner, Associate Provost of Quality Assurance at City University of Hong Kong; Chiang Wu, Executive Vice President of Tongji University; and Atsuo Yasumori, Managing Director of the Board of Directors, Tokyo University of Science. Now, I think this year has seen the greatest acceleration of university technological innovation in the history of higher education, so I'm very pleased that this discussion will be chaired by Raghav Gupta, Managing Director for India and Asia Pacific for Coursera, an organization that has been at the vanguard of innovation in higher education over the last decade or so. Raghav will use his experience to set questions for our panel over the next 60 minutes. So, over to you, Raghav.
Thank you. Thank you, Tim. Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening from wherever you're joining us from different parts of the world. I'm based in New Delhi in India, so it is still morning for me. And, you know, it is, like Tim said, a completely topical discussion for us to be having about technological innovations in higher education, given all the challenges that COVID has posed to higher education. Before I get started, firstly, congratulations and best wishes to all the panelists whose universities are shortlisted for the prestigious THE Technological Innovation of the Year award. I'd like to just set a little bit of context before I get the conversation with the panel started. And, you know, in my role at Coursera, we've had the opportunity to work with businesses, to work with universities, to work with individuals around the world, especially in the last 7-8 months when COVID has been impacting our lives. And we are seeing many very significant trends from around the world. You know, COVID has disrupted upwards of 400 million jobs around the world. And in our work with businesses, we know that companies are looking for new skills in the future, especially when it comes to digital skills, when it comes to data skills. And they will expect of these skills from new incoming students as well. And so we are finding that delivering job-relevant learning to improve student employability is a big area of focus, is a big challenge for many universities. Also related to this, faculty development, you know, to be able to get them ready for jobs of the future, and also to equip them to be able to teach online, which is a skill that not traditionally many faculty members have necessarily had to build, has been a big challenge for universities. The second thing that we are seeing is that the scale of impact on education, of course, is unprecedented. You know, globally, data tells us that upwards of 200 million students in higher education have been impacted. And only a handful of universities were fully equipped to be able to teach in an engaging manner online. Of course, many universities have been forced to migrate online, but the learning experience has been mixed. And it's not an easy time to be in university leadership roles because cost management is an important area, just given all the challenges that COVID has thrown at higher education. And then if I were to share a little bit of insight from what we are seeing at Coursera over the last 8 months or so, firstly, at a very broad level, we have seen that the usage on our platform, the number of courses being consumed on our platform has exploded. And this year on the Coursera for Campus platform, in February, 30 universities were using this platform, and today 3,700 universities are using the Coursera for Campus platform. And 2.4 million students have taken upwards of 21 million courses on this platform. And so we've seen a massive explosion in general of the usage of online education. Interestingly, 70% of this usage among students have been on a mobile device. And I think a question that, I'd love to discuss possibly in the course of this panel is around access, given that many of your students have challenges around access to data, to internet connectivity, and of course, devices as well. We've also seen students wanting to adopt hands-on learning and projects, and Coursera had launched something that we called guided projects in May this year, which is a hands-on learning capability online. And we have seen 1.5 million of those courses being taken, projects being taken on the Coursera platform very quickly in the last 4 months. And so given this trend around students wanting to acquire more hands-on skills, how can we as higher education leaders think about what might be relevant? So with that, as quick context around some of the challenges that we're seeing, I'd love to get started and come to you, Les Allens. And the way, I'd love to run this panel is by posing a question to all of you. This question will be broadly, why do technological innovations matter in higher education? And, there are a number of us. I'd request you to keep your opening comments at 3 minutes. And as I was mentioning in our preparation, this pencil in my hand is going to be your indicator to say, you're coming close to time. Over here. So let's get started. Les Allens from Heriot-Watt University of Malaysia. Please share your thoughts with us.
Greetings, everyone. It's my honour and privilege to join you here today and to be part of such a prestigious panel of fellow finalists. I feel very much that the digital age, we're well into it now, and without the advent of digital technology, particularly in the face of the current pandemic, all of our universities would significantly struggle to maintain business and support our delivery of academia. With such, I think our students expect us to be digitally connected. We all know that all of our students, our staff, and hopefully all of us as well, embrace digital technology. We all use smart devices, we're mobile, we're innovative, we're completely out there with what we do. And I think it's very important for universities as well to realise that we need not only to support our scholar processes, we also need to holistically support our student and staff well-being and their safety. All of our universities now, our students are no longer based in one place. Many study and participate in our university processes from across the world, and the use of digital technology is the only way to be connected with them, to give them the experience that they expect and deserve. We also must look to the fact that many of our students go out with the boundaries of our particular campuses. They study remotely, they study abroad, they do field trips, they go to all corners of the world for research, and we still have their responsibility towards them. We still need to be in contact with them to provide support, teaching, learning, and also to support their particular well-being. How can we do this if we don't embrace with technology, particularly technology that students expect, particularly technology that's mobile and can be used on mobile devices such as smartphones, smart tablets, laptop innovation and whatnot? I think we can all agree, particularly since we've been swept up in the conditions that the coronavirus pandemic has caused us all, that we can no longer be just based in one place. We need to be smarter and use the technology to give the students what they can expect from it. I think particularly we need to be adaptive and use technology that can be quickly reconfigured to support particular circumstances. When COVID hit the world, we all need to look at differently how we were going to continue to deliver our learning and teaching experience and to support student well-being. If you have technologies that can be adapted and moved on to support particular circumstances, particularly if we look at COVID. How do we do that? I can see a pen coming up here where I'm going to have to stop soon. But really, my point is that mobile technology and innovative solutions are the way ahead for all universities, and we'll be left behind if we don't embrace technological culture. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for getting us started. I know you covered, along with supporting the academic process, the well-being of students and of the university community is critical as well. And given students are in different geographies, adoption of technologies, adoption of mobile devices, I think is completely pertinent as well. Thank you for getting us started with that. All right. Let me come to Karen next from the Singapore Institute of Technology. And Karen, I know in my reading about SIT, I know there's been a lot of focus on applied education with industry relevant skills for a specific profession. Let me invite you to go ahead and share your thoughts with us on why do technological innovations matter in higher education. In case you have some examples to share, please feel free to do that as well.
Okay, thank you very much. And of course, it's an honor to be here and share with everyone. I think obviously for the same reason that we're having this presentation online, COVID-19 gave us everyone the ultimate proof that technology is needed for higher education. But I think the value of technology enhanced learning was clear way before COVID-19. So I think beyond the points of accessibility and affordability of education that are significantly enhanced with technological innovation, and even beyond the fact that our students, as was mentioned earlier, are technology natives and they expect us to be with them in their world. And I would add to that the fact that we are supposed to be preparing them for a career that is going to be technology immersed, whatever the field it is that they are going to be engaged in. I think the significant value of technology in education is not just the ability to take what we do in our classroom practices and put them online, but in the ability to change what education means and how education works. And by that, I mean that in the information age, the role of the professor has changed. It used to be that we came to the professor because they were the source of knowledge. And if we wanted to learn something, it meant we had to go and listen to our professors. But in technological innovations are now not replacing good teaching, but they allow good teaching to be better and be better utilized. So technology made the information available to everyone, and it's no longer the professor that we need to go to when we want to learn new knowledge. Now I think the role of the professor is more on guidance. Guidance in terms of sieving our way through the sea of information that is out there, but perhaps more importantly, to provide inspiration, to help untangle concepts, or to help link between theories and applications and practices. And these are things that are harder than just imparting knowledge that used to be the role of the professor, and they take much more time and much more effort. And this is where technology can really help us, because it allows us to focus on what we are really better at, and that is meeting the student exactly where the needs are. So an example of that from SIT is that instead of teaching our thousands of students coming in and investing in hundreds of hours of teaching mathematics and physics in classrooms, instead of that, we built a system, an adaptive system online that allows all the students to go through this basic content that they need to refresh before they come to campus for their first day. And that system, on the one hand, is providing the content and the practice to the students, but on the other hand, is allowing us to know exactly which student is struggling and what exactly are they struggling with. And so instead of investing all of our time in standing in the classroom, we can invest this precious time to be with the student face to face and help them exactly at the places where they need that help. And this is exactly why I'm saying that technology is here not to replace good teaching, but allow us to use teaching for far better learning. Thank you for that, Pen. And I think research also shows that technology is best used for embedding technology with the human touch and not for replacing the human touch. Thank you.
Thank you, Kevin. And I'm taking notes as we're listening to all of you, and I think some of the points that you shared in terms of, technology is not just about taking classes online and doing what you were doing in a physical classroom, and also how the role of the professor is changing. And you spoke about SIT's adaptive system. Hopefully, these are topics that we can get into a little bit more detailed conversation as we go forward. All right, let me come to Arjuna Mantri from Chittkala University next. And, from, again, what I know of Chittkala University, you're very focused on research and development. A number of patents have been filed under the university. And I know, Dr. Arjuna, you've also led the Curin, if I'm pronouncing it correctly, CURIN network at the university. We'd love to hear your thoughts on the topic that I've laid out. Please go ahead.
Thank you, Raghav. And I am so thankful for the organizers of this event to put this very pertinent question to the fore. So the question which has been posed for this panel, I would like to look at this question in a perspective, rather perspectives. Let us think of technology and innovations, technological innovations in the perspective of equity and accessibility, quality education, good health and well-being. And you know from where I'm driving these three perspectives. They are from the 3 of the 17 Sustainable Development Goals given by United Nations. One more thing, history shows us that luxury of yesterdays become way of life today and go on to become must-haves or essentials of tomorrow. History is also witness, rather, that if we do not respond graciously and do not act responsibly when there is an opportunity, the same is lost. Well, the good thing is that technological opportunities have been well realized and explored by the education sector. And in fact, the same sector has been the breeding ground and also the birthplace of many technological interventions so far. And who knows it better than Raghav you do? You also notice that earlier educationalists were talking about technological interventions. Now we are talking of technological innovations. Also, because the nature has shown us new ways, the recent happening in the world, in the global arena, it has shown us new ways of looking at the same thing. It has taught us and shown us that the only way we can continue to thrive in education, at least, education sector at least, is through technology. We are hearing from across the world, and my two co-panelists has brought it to the notice of all the attendees here and all of us here. We are hearing from across the world that the classes could go unweighted because most of the higher education institutes around the world were well equipped with the technology that was required to support this transition well. The teaching went off well, the students' attendance being recorded above normal levels. How much learning took place? That is still to be measured. And that is where technological innovations is needed. They are needed. I strongly believe that adaptive learning and adaptive assessments are the way forward, and these are the areas where technological innovations are needed the most. Let us not forget that the purpose of education is to learn, to make the students feel respected and make them respect nature and humanity as a whole. The question is, are we looking at the technology as just the means and enabler of delivering the content online? Or are we able to achieve the larger goal as just spelled out? Or putting the three perspectives which I brought to the fore in the beginning. I leave these questions for all of us to think and for the attendees also to think. So 3 questions in answer to the question that was posed earlier. Thank you.
Thank you. That's wonderful. And I took note of the point that you mentioned, which is that transition to teaching was good around the world, but the question is how much learning took place and the role of technological innovations and what role that has to play over here. Thank you for sharing that. All right, I'd love to move to Liu Qiulang from Rain Classroom, which is a part of Tsinghua University. And I see you're on video as well now. Good to see you as well. Please go ahead and share your thoughts with us.
Okay, thank you. Hello, everyone. My name is Qiulang Liu from Tsinghua University. I'm responsible for the research of Rain Classroom. I want to explain the importance of technological innovation to higher education from 2 aspects. First of all, Technological innovation is very important for the sharing of higher education resources. From my perspective, what we see in China is that the distribution of higher education resources is significantly unequal. The internet, big data, artificial intelligence, and other technologies let us see the possibilities of sharing knowledge and leveling the playing field for the provision of education. On the other hand, technological innovation diversifies the curriculum form, in which PowerPoint, video, animation, and other materials can become its elements. The world's first Chinese MOOC platform, XueTangX, was launched by Tsinghua University in 2013 to improve the quality of education and promote educational equity. At present, the platform has developed more than 3,000 high-quality web-based domestic and foreign courses, and over 63 million registered users. During the initial stage of operation, we found that the online education cannot completely replace the traditional education due to its real-time discussion, value transfer, and so on. Thus, to make the classroom interaction more vivid and to precipitate the content and the data used during the class, Learning Classroom, a mobile teaching tool based on WeChat and PowerPoint, has been developed. Since it innovatively and effectively integrates online and offline learning methods. Teachers use Learning Classroom to collect the data during entire teaching activities, including pre-class preview, real-time class, and after-class examination. As of now, Learning Classroom has more than 43 million users, over 2/3 of which are active, meaning they log in more than once monthly. The 2020 spring semester in China is completely replaced by online. Tens of millions of teachers and students use the Learning Classroom to perform online teaching and learning. Respective universities' Office of Academic Officials monitor the daily teaching dynamics of the entire university, including when a teacher publishes specific materials, the status of student attendance, and other indicators. The system can automatically send teaching processor reports to the corresponding administrators regularly. So far, 587 universities have adopted the Learning Classroom Pro. As we've witnessed, the progress and the innovation of educational technology over the year has benefited higher education. Meanwhile, it will also affect the direction of higher education development in the future. Thank you.
Thank you, Liu. I think you shared a number of points about how Tsinghua University is applying innovation in technology. And I think one of the points I took away was also collection of data during teaching and using that to come back and improve the teaching and learning process. So thank you for sharing that. Of course, Tsinghua University, along with your own MOOC platform, has been on Coursera as a partner of Coursera for a number of years as well. And we are learning together how today's world can be best served using online technology. All right, let me go to Sampan Singharaj Varappan next. You are the Vice President of Chiang Mai University. And apologies in case I misspelled or mispronounced your name. But just as quick context, and I was reading in my preparation that you're a public research university in Thailand with multidisciplinary education with a strong emphasis on engineering, science, agriculture, and medicine. And CMU's digital transformation project was established well in advance to kind of take your teaching online. All right, let me come to you, Christian, Associate Provost of Quality Assurance at City University of Hong Kong. Please go ahead and share your thoughts with us.
Thank you very much. You can see me here coming to you from one of our local lighthouses. And obviously I'm not there, I'm only virtually in the lighthouse. And that's really the start of my story. Hong Kong's history is really related to the oceans. And as you know, the seas have many stories, treacherous seas, fateful journeys, weary travelers, and lighthouses as beacons of hope for those who are trying to come home. Our students are seeking to rediscover these stories. They go to places like Penghu, Fisher Island. They visit the lighthouse. They do forensic library science, so read up the old stories and piece together a puzzle of what happened a century or more ago. And then they put this all into technology so that others who do not have that opportunity can revisit these stories. So they build 3D models, they put it on video, they share it in 3D caves. And it all comes together for students to make discoveries, to immerse themselves into the past and relive it. That's just one example. Not all is about discovery. Some of our students, engineers, have to understand the difficulties of running logistics system. And what you see behind me now is our local mass transit, where if you have seen Hong Kong, individuals arrive just about any time of the day and trains run at a 1-minute cycle during rush hour. If they don't, very quickly these platforms will fill up and it turns into disaster. So our engineers use these technologies, building synthetic world, here a virtual world, to simulate what it means to have essentially dangerous situations happen. Because we want our students to understand this in a harmless environment where they can try out, change the parameters and see what is happening. So once again, the technology as an environment that allows discovery in an otherwise dangerous place. We can go to chemistry, and most of us will never be able to visit or to move inside molecules, but through our ability to harness augmented and virtual reality, we are now able to give students an inside view of these molecules, see things that are otherwise too small. Sometimes they're actually too large. Sometimes they are too far away. Sometimes they are just too difficult to reach. And sometimes, as mentioned, they are just too dangerous. Another example you might want to hear about, this relates to understanding the artistic process. A famous Italian painter, Castiglione, came to China to learn Chinese painting practices and then fused the European and the Chinese painting. Our students here, these are actually visitors to one of our exhibitions, try to relive this creative process. At the wall, you see a sketch by Castiglione in black and white. So this was a pencil sketch. And students, by picking up these tablets, as you can see, can make this come to life, because what they see, the finished painting that is overlaid over this sketch that was done in pencil. This is an incredible experience. Whenever we show this to students, they are in awe, because they can really see how the painter came from what was there originally, as I said, the almost plain canvas, and created the image accordingly. Students see it, they become immersed, it captures them, and it allows them to envision worlds they otherwise couldn't envision. And that's what we are really trying to capture. We have been focusing very hard on what we call discovery learning. So take students really beyond the routine learning, take them become what's also important, insightful learning, but really making them discoverers. And this is where we see the huge leverage of technology. Thank you.
Thank you. Wonderful use of virtual backgrounds as well to illustrate what you spoke about. And, you know, I was wondering if that was a real lighthouse or a virtual lighthouse, but, you know, kind of thank you for taking us through that journey across the lighthouse and the local mass transit and chemistry and art as well. Really fascinating. Thank you. Yes.
Yes.
You are Executive Vice President at Tongji University. Please go ahead and share your thoughts with us.
Okay, thank you. So the question to me, why do technological innovation matter in higher education? Yes, of course. With the rapid development of the new technology, technological innovation has been comprehensively applied in all the fields, of course, including education. In recent years, new education technology has been developed, making the entire education field call for the series of innovation and change. Educational concepts need to be updated, teaching method to be changed, and the teaching forms to be resourced. Confronted with the trend of the more information-based society, college and universities, as irreplaceable part of education, must carefully explore the efficient use of modern education technology. Only by making full use of the new technology to design and develop educational software, reforming educational methods, updating educational models, and integrating educational resources, can we help higher education carry out the construction of the educational system more reasonably and better promote in its development. For my personal understanding, I think there are at least three methods according to the adopting of the education to the new technology innovation. One is the teaching itself, teaching and learning. If we use or adopt a new technology, it will give us many more opportunities to give the students and teachers more opportunity to transfer the knowledge and creating new knowledges. Particularly in the past few months, during the COVID-19 pandemic, we can very much recognize the importance of introducing the teaching technology. Now, all the universities, including China, as well as all the parts of the world, we use the online teaching very well, and to let us more understanding the importance of this new teaching and learning method. And second is the importance of the technological innovation to the education contents. For the university, like my university, is a comprehensive research university, but with very much engineering advance. And our education purpose is to educate people for the future, to educate the future talent who can work with the new needs and the new life in the future. So our major teaching purpose is to let our students can have the ability, talent in the creating of the new technology in the future. So that's very important for the education itself. And the third, the last but not least, is as a university administrator, if we use the new technology to help the university administration, because the university become now larger and larger, become a very large social machine. And for instance, my university has more than 50,000 students, 5,000 employees, with the more than $1 billion budget a year. If we introduce more new technology to make the university as not only a traditional knowledge transfer machine, but also a new model of the new technology utilized machine. So it will help us to make the university administration much more efficiently. So I think that at least in these three matters, we can recognize the importance of the technological innovation. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Chiang. And I really liked how you focused on, along with the technological innovations, your university is working on providing students the opportunity to create new technologies for the future themselves. And then given the size and scale of the university, 50,000 students, 5,000 administrators, how as the administration leadership team, you're thinking about and are already deploying technology as well. So thank you for sharing your thoughts with us. All right. Let me come back to Sampan, and then last but not the least, I'll go to our speaker from Tokyo University of Science as well. Sampan, could you check if we can hear you now?
Yes. Did you hear
All
me?
right, perfect. Yes.
Okay.
All right, please go ahead and
Thank
share
you.
your thoughts.
Sorry.
No worries at all. Please go ahead.
Okay. What we are doing here at Chiang University at the moment, that we try to redevelop existing curriculum to provide students with knowledge and skills required by the modern technology employers. As you are all aware that we are now surrounded and threatened by the disruptive technologies. So we have to equip our students with all the knowledge and skills to deal with that. What we are doing right now is we try to improve the teaching learning mode to facilitate the self-directed learning of the students. For example, we try to encourage our instructor to apply more on the massive online courses. And also we try to introduce the AI-based tutorial system and so on. At the same time, we try to develop the pedagogic skills for our academic staff. And also we encourage them by changing the staff promotion system to promote the new teaching methods by providing the new incentive scheme. With the emergence of the COVID-19, both our students and our staff, they change their behavior a lot. So at the moment, online learning become more familiar to both the staff and the students at Chiang University. One point that I'd like to stress is that with more and more of online learning platform, I think there's the chance for Chiang University to develop the double degree programs or the joint degree program with international institutions and universities. So we welcome all the collaboration with our counterparts from overseas, especially for the online learning system. And the other role of Chiang University as the National Research University is that we have to prove ourselves that we have the economic value for the society, especially for the publics, I mean the taxpayers and the governments. Right now, just last year, the Thai government, they sort of restructure the structural, there's a huge structural change in our system that we have the new Ministry of Higher Education, Science, Research and Innovation that brings higher education's funding agencies and national research and development agencies under the same roof. It happened last year. So we need to improve ourselves in terms of our research and development capabilities to deal with the new challenges of Thailand. And right now, with our shrinking population, the forecast is that in the next 10 years, the new students enrolled in higher education system each year in Thailand will reduce from 400,000 to 300,000. This is very, very critical for the whole higher education system in Thailand. So your question is, why do technological innovations matter in higher education? My conclusion is that it's now the matter of survival of each Thai higher institution. Thank you.
Very clear. Thank you for sharing that. And I think, like you summarized it, technological innovations in higher education are a matter of survival. And so thank you for being very succinct and saying that. All right. Last but not the least at all, let me come to Mr. Atsuyo Yasumori, who's the Managing Director of the Board of Directors at Tokyo University of Science. I believe one of the oldest private universities in Japan. Please go ahead and share your thoughts with us.
Thank you very much for your kind introduction. So at first, let me say that Tokyo University of Science is one of the leading universities in science and engineering fields and has been pioneering technological innovation in Japan. So here, as the answer for the question, let me introduce two of the unique initiatives of our university, in particular, how technological innovation have helped to facilitate students' learning and abilities development. So the first one is portfolio system for students implemented within our online learning management systems. The Japanese economy and society are rapidly evolving, and students need to not only study the basic sciences, but also need to focus on and develop their own abilities to do innovative design and development. The biggest feature of the portfolio system is visualizing individual students' abilities with radar chart. This system analyzes the variations of all the courses and displays the students' abilities on the radar chart. This helps the students to set goals and plans for next term by focusing on the gap between their current achievement and target values. So in the near future, by using accumulated big data derived from analysis of variation of all of our 20,000 students per year, and by AI state analysis of such data. So it might become possible to highlight how to set their study goals following the such own pace of learning. So technical innovations like this provide new avenues of transforming higher education. The second one is VRE, which stands for Virtual Research Environment System. This system expands the research environment to utilize cloud computing. So VRE provides a safe and secure and unlimited capacity storage and allows our students, faculty members, and staffs to safely handle sensitive information such as students' education data and research data for their thesis. So also, we had to change how we conduct educational and research activities because of COVID-19 pandemic this year. So by taking advantage of this cloud computing system, we could continue the classes online and also share research information with students over the internet. These two initiatives I introduced explain why technological innovation matter in higher education. In future, we expect to expand the boundaries of higher educational environments through technological innovations. So in science and engineering fields, by applying AI and VR in addition to big data analysis, simulations, and virtual experiments. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you. And my apologies for rushing you. I know this is a large group on the panel, and I want to get everybody to share their thoughts as well. And I think it's been wonderful to hear from everyone on why technological innovation matters in higher education. In the interest of time, and I'm conscious we have about 14 minutes to go, I'm not going to try and summarize. I'd love to go to another question to all of you, which will have two parts. And I'm going to request you to keep it down to 2 minutes. So a number of you have shared your thoughts on why technological innovation matters. And I'm not going to try and paraphrase, but, I think Karen spoke about improving results using online technology and complementing what we've been doing in a classroom so far. Christian, you shared wonderful examples about what you've already been doing. And Arjuna, you spoke about equity, access, and improving learning outcomes. Les Allen spoke about well-being as well as a big focus along with teaching and learning. So one part of my question is if you could share an example of technological innovation at your university, that would be one. And second, many of you spoke about using MOOC platforms and this concept of sharing content across universities. So far we've lived in a world where what your students learned came from your own university. But today, with platforms like Coursera and others, we are seeing universities sharing content across each other. And I know this is a much bigger topic to cover not to be covered in a 2-minute answer, but if you have a quick thought on, do you see benefits of doing that? And I'm going to just mix up the order a little bit here so that we can get a slightly different order going. So Karen, let me come back to you first. And quick example on tech innovation at your university and your thoughts on content sharing using MOOC platforms across universities.
Thank you. Yeah, so I think perhaps one good example is for a program in radiation therapy, where we teach radiation therapy for undergraduate courses. And you can imagine that such a program would require either very expensive and space-consuming equipment, or it would become just a very theoretical exercise in terms of teaching the students. And we decided to go midway and design a virtual environment for students to try the radiation therapy equipment in a very safe and very realistic for them environment to go through everything that they would go through with a real patient without actually risking anyone and without consuming time of very expensive equipment. So I think this is one good way to expand the limits of our campus to the needs of the students. So that would be one example. Of course, there are many similar examples that I'm sure others would be able to share. In terms of, thank you. In terms of sharing resources, we're actually just now starting a very big exercise in terms of consolidating all of our foundation studies. So all the mathematics, physics, chemistry that is taught to a very large group of students at SIT. But if you think about it, it's taught we're teaching the same principles all over the world. And all over the world, people are reinventing wheels and recreating videos and recreating exercises, when in fact, there's no need. If we can just take the best out of what everyone is doing and give it to everyone's students, then we're saving resources, we're really giving them the best information to study. So this is exactly what we are focusing on these days.
Perfect, thank you. Thank you for sharing that. Leo, if I could come to you next, one example of tech innovation at your university and a quick thought on using MOOC platforms or sharing resources and content across universities. And if I could request you to keep it to under 2 minutes.
Okay, thank you very much. So it's hard to share the educational resources among the universities, but we know, unfortunately, under the COVID-19, so we changed the educational procedure from the face-to-face one to the online system. So in that case, we changed the educational resources, and so it resulted we can provide various, in our case, we are as a science and technological university, so we are so many research resources such a fields. So after we arrange the system, so we can provide such educational resources to the like a small universities or some high school or something like that. So it's in that case we expand some online system. It's kind of the technological innovations, I think. Yeah.
Got it. And I completely agree with your starting by saying it's hard, right? And COVID has brought this change about. All right. Liu Kulang, if I could come to you next. Liu Q-Line, are you able to hear me? You could unmute, please.
Hello.
Yeah, go ahead.
Hey, as I just said, to improve the quality of education and promote educational equity, Tsinghua launched its MOOC platform ShareTimeX in 2003. Now it affects more and more people. In 2020 spring semester, the pandemic was a catalyst for higher education innovation. Those who previously unwilling to try had to force themselves to learn online teaching and methods, which facilitated exploration of different forms of education. Learn Classroom took the opportunity to carry out extensive technical upgrades during the pandemic. In this process of continuous improvement, it has been transformed from auxiliary tool for classroom to a systemic online and offline intelligent teaching platform. We always hope that the university will use technology to improve the quality of teaching, but not be dominated by technology. Therefore, the design of teaching will be more and more diverse in the innovation of educational technology. Thank you.
Thank you. All right. Les, if I can come to you next.
Yes, thank you. In 2018, our university introduced a smartphone app system called Safe Zone, which in effect gives all of our staff and students from a free download the capacity at the press of a button on the device to have direct instant contact with our safeguarding support centre, which operates 24 hours a day, 365 days a year. We've successfully used this app on a number of occasions, not only on the domestic front within our campuses, but across the globe. We've been in a position to be able to support our staff and students in a crisis situation. For instance, crisis can vary from someone becoming ill or injured or just suffering loneliness and feeling the need to talk to someone, right up to the other end of the scale where we have had students who have been on placements or study abroad who have become involved in natural disasters, terrorist incidents, typical incidents of that type of nature. On the aspect of the second part of your question on sharing, our system is very scalable, that if other universities match the system and introduce the same to theirs, we can join up. For instance, our campus in Malaysia, if more universities in the Malaysia area had that, if one of our students was in your area, you would be able to support them in a crisis situation directly on the ground. On an international basis, if one of our students, for instance, was in Tokyo at a university and they had the system, if a crisis arose there, the university on the ground would be able to support. We very much see the potential for there being a global alliance on this basis within universities to look that university communities can be supported regardless of where they are, specifically on the ground in a partnership agreement with other universities. Thank you.
Wonderful. Thank you. Thank you for sharing that. Arjuna, if I could come to you next, please.
Yes, sure, Raghav. So you asked us to share one example of how we are using technological innovation. So in fact, our lab and our gaming and design department has developed a game based on COVID-19. And that is in the vernacular language because usually the people around us in rural community are not able to appreciate the three stages of the importance of washing hands, wearing masks, and so on and so forth. So we developed a game in virtual space using immersive technology, and we are teaching. Our extension activities and our extension activists are going with the game to the villages to teach them the importance of these three things: maintaining social distances, wearing masks, and also washing hands. So that is one. The other is we are using short duration e-content to teach the rural community, especially the students in the primary education sector, to learn in this difficult situation where the schools are not opening up. We are using vernacular language, medium instruction to teach them and to help them learn the content that they should. So these are the two things, many things that we are doing. Thank you.
Wonderful. These are wonderful examples. And again, I'm sorry for rushing you. I know we have 3 minutes and I have a few more speakers to cover. So Christian, quick 1-minute thoughts on some examples. I know you've shared some with us, but maybe if you could just cover that, that'll be great.
Very good. We are looking at student success, and what we are realizing is that for each program where a student takes maybe 40 courses in a program, 2 or 3 are pivotal courses. When we do analytics, we can see that 50% of the final grade is really decided by these courses. Once we know this, we can do much better. We can put our best faculty at these courses. We can help students succeeding in those courses because it will allow them to succeed in their programs. And success is really what we want to achieve. I'll stop here. I'll say 2 more words about online learning. I think the game in the future will be, and it's not a game, about creating learning journeys. So content is now plentiful, helping students to engage in these learning journeys. And that means for us curating the content. That will be the pivotal element to bring us forward and really revolutionize online learning. Thank you.
I couldn't agree more. And I continue to love the virtual backgrounds. All right. Chiang, 1 minute on your thoughts on an example on tech innovation. And then actually, I'm going to ask you to close us out. Please
Actually, in the past few years, my university takes so much attention to develop our online education, not only online education, but also the cloud classrooms and the smart classrooms to encourage teachers and students to use that. So that's why during the pandemic time, my university very quickly to transfer our traditional teaching to the online teaching. And we provide more than 2,000 online courses, let the students totally, in very short time, shift from the traditional classroom to the online classroom. And the second is both Chinese government and the local very much encourage us to develop our sharing platform. For instance, my university has more than 5,000 to 6,000 courses, but we share at least 10 to 15% of them to the national platform. And within Shanghai, we have more than 50 universities in Shanghai. We have also our sharing platform to provide all the courses, not only to our university, but also to the students of the other universities. Thank you.
Wonderful to hear that. Thank you. All right, Sampan, last 30 seconds, please share your thoughts and then
30 seconds. Okay. Actually, my university, we just established a new center. We call it a Teaching Learning Innovation Center that would help support our staff. Especially, we just changed our learning management system from a Moodle to Canvas system. And at the same time, we also set up a new center for lifelong learning that will be facilitate the publics to get access into our online courses. I mean, it's a new way to get more customer into our university. Thank you.
All right, perfect. Thank you. It's been an absolute pleasure for me to listen to all of you and to be facilitating this conversation. I know each of these topics is a much deeper conversation for us to have. But let me hand back to Tim and to the THE team. Thank you so much for sharing your thoughts today.
Thank you very much indeed, Raghav. And obviously, thank you so much to all 8 of you for that fascinating discussion. And I hope you all enjoyed it watching it, and you can continue talking about some of these ideas in the networking section of this virtual forum. So the next round of sessions will be beginning in 10 minutes time. So we will be closing this room, and then you can log back into the room of your choice. So the next 3 discussions will focus on creating the best workplace environment, understanding impact, and technological innovation. So the winners of these awards today will be announced from 4 o'clock in Beijing time, and all the sessions will be available to watch again on demand. And expert content analysis is published every day on timeshighereducation.com. But please join me in giving a virtual round of applause and huge thanks to our wonderful panel, and wish them good luck in our ceremony later this afternoon. Thank you. Bye-bye.